Hello and welcome back to Smarty Academy. In our last video, we walked you through the EViews menu bar. In this video, we are going to show you how to import time series and cross-sectional data into the EViews workspace using menu, command, and EViews program file. Let's get started. The easiest way to import data into EViews is to start by arranging the data in a tidy way, that is the names of the variables in the first row and each variable at its own column. And for a cross-section data set, you only need the variables. You don't need any date identifying column. As for the time series data, we need a column that identifies the date series. This column will be used by the EViews to identify the data set as time series. When you open EViews, this window will appear by default. From the quick menu, you can easily open a program file such as Excel. However, if in your last session of EViews you uncheck this box, this window will not appear. Let's assume that the window does not appear. We can go to File, Open, Foreign Data as Work File. Then we scroll to the folder. In our case, it is Smarty Academy. But there are so many files here. If you get confused as to which file to choose, you can easily narrow down the number of files that are available on this window by going to All Files and clicking on Excel file or any file format you want to import into the EViews workspace. We click on Data, then Open. But before we click on Open, we may like to update the default working directory of EViews by checking this box. Because if you check the status bar, our current working directory is Template, not Smarty Academy. By checking this box, we are telling EViews that we want Smarty Academy to be our current working directory. We click on Open. Under Predefined Range, you can choose the Excel sheet you want to import. In our case, we are importing data from cross-section sheet of the Excel data file. We click on cross-section or any other Excel sheet we want to import the data from. You only check this box if your data are not arranged in columns. That is, if you want to transpose the incoming data. Click on Next. By default, EViews recognizes the number of lines for the headings. So the header lines will be 1. The header tab is names only. We don't need to do anything. We accept the default options and click Next. When you are importing the data, you can also change the variable's name before you finish importing. For example, if you want to change the name of the second column of the data, we can click on the second column and change the name from here. For example, bar 4. But we don't want it. Let's go back to our previous variable name. Click on Next. Because our data format is cross-sectional, so the basic structure identified by EViews is unstructured and undated. We don't have to do anything. We take it as it is. Then click on Finish. Here we can link imported series and alpha object to external source if we click on Yes. Otherwise, we click on No. The idea is that if we link imported series and alpha object to the external source, whenever we edit the Excel file, the EViews world file will be updated automatically. Let's click on No because we don't want to link the objects for now. After this, a new work file was created. The name of the work file is Data and the page name is also Data. You can notice that there are no date values attached to the range and sample because the data format is cross-sectional. If we want to create a time series work file, we also go to File, Open, Foreign Data as Work File, click on Data. You notice that this time around we don't have to browse to Smarty Academy folder because we already checked this box and our current working directory has been updated to Smarty Academy. We click on Open, then change this to time series because our time series data is saved in time series sheet. Click Next, Next, Next. You can notice that EViews has already identified the date series or the date variable, that is this column. It has also automatically identified the frequency of the data, that is annual. We click on Finish to create the time series work file. We can see the difference between the cross-section work file and the time series work file because the range and the sample of the time series work file are dated. We can click on the date series and delete it by pressing delete button on our keyboard. Click on yes. We deleted the date series because we don't need it, because each variable is identified by the date. The purpose of having a column for the date is for the EViews to identify the incoming data as a time series data set. You can see that all variables are identified by their dates. Let us close all the work files so that we can use another method to import the data. The second method to import the data is by opening the Excel file. Go to Smarty Academy, open the Excel file, click on any cell within the data set. Ctrl-A to highlight all the data, Ctrl-C to copy the data. Then go to your EViews workspace, right-click, paste as new work file, click Next, Next, and Finish to create the cross-sectional data set. You can see that this time around the EViews work file has no name and it is given untitled by default by the EViews. These are the default names for work file and page given by the EViews. If you want to import the time series data set, we also go to the Excel file, click on time series sheet, click on any cell that is within the data set, then Ctrl-A to highlight all, Ctrl-C to copy, then right-click and paste as new work file. Next, Next, and Finish to create the time series work file. Because the new work file we are about to create is also named untitled by the EViews, there is a clash and therefore this window pops up. We now have three options. We either name the existing untitled work file or delete it, or we cancel the creation of the new work file. But we can go with the first option to rename the existing untitled work file. Click on it, give it a name, for example, cross section. Therefore, the existing work file has been named as cross section and the new work file as untitled. Another way to import the data is to use the command window. Let us close these ones. To make it easy for us, we can go to capture window and copy the commands we use to create the existing work files. We can copy this, go to command window, Ctrl-V to paste. Click anywhere on the code to move the cursor to the line of the code. Then press Enter or the return key. Click on Finish to create the cross-sectional work file. If you want to create the time series work file, we also go to the capture window, copy the command for the creation of the time series work file. Let's look for it. Here it is because we have the time series. Ctrl-C to copy, go to command window, Ctrl-V to paste. Since the cursor is already on the line of the code, we only press Enter to create the time series work file. Click Finish to create the time series work file. The time series work file has been created from the code we copied from the capture window. However, this command can be modified, or we can remove some part of it without any effect on the outcome of its action, because our data is well arranged in tidied mode. Let's paste it. We can remove all this sample at all because we are using all the samples. We can also remove all the frequency, NA. We can remove the call head, but we cannot remove the range. We can also remove the path. We can use the relative path because our data is contained in the current working directory. We click Enter to get our data. We have now created the same work file as using the long code. We can also create the time series work file by removing the default part of the code. Let's go to this code, place the cursor at the bottom, press Shift and End button to highlight the entire line, Ctrl-C to copy, bring the cursor down to the bottom, Ctrl-B to paste. Then we remove the default part of the code, that is this sample size, because we are importing all the data. We can also remove the date, we can also remove the ID, we can also remove the frequency, we can also remove this NE. The call head can also be removed. We only keep the data name or the name of the data file and the range. Range stands for the name of the sheet in the Excel file. We press Enter key or the return key to create the time series work file. Press Finish to create the time series work file. We can compare it with the previous work file. We can see that this work file created by the shortcut and the one created by the long code are the same. The idea is that if you arrange your data well, you save a lot of time and energy, because you can use only the data file name and the name of the heat to import the data, because EViews is so smart that it recognizes dates, or the data format you are importing. Another way to create a work file from an external data source is to use EViews program. An EViews program has an added advantage because it saves you more time than using the command window. An EViews program is the most efficient way to import data into EViews. You can notice that whenever we are importing from the command window, a window will pop up before you finalize the importing. Also skip this step when you use the EViews program file. And we can import all the EViews work file at once when we are using the EViews program. Let's close the work files and see how to use the EViews program to import the data. We copy the two lines for the course section and the time series data. We go to File, New, Program. Click on the program window to activate it, then Ctrl V to paste the copied codes. Click on Run to create the work files at once. And you can see that there was no window to ask us to finalize the creation of the work files because we are running from an EViews program, not from the command window. We use the name of the data file because our current working directory is Semantic Academy and our data file is saved in Semantic Academy. If our current working directory is not Semantic Academy, we have to use the absolute path or we have to change our current working directory to Semantic Academy. That is where the data file is saved. If our data file contains only one sheet, we don't have to specify the range. As a bonus, we will show you how to create one work file and import different data formats into the same work file by creating more pages to accommodate different data formats. Let us close the program file and the work file. We can rename this page to course section. Right click, rename work file page, course section. We create a new page, or we can import the time series data as a new page. One of the ways to do it is go to the Excel file, click on the time series sheet, click on a cell within the data, Ctrl A to highlight, Ctrl C to copy, then go back to the EViews window, click on this new page and choose Paste Parent Clipboard as page. Press Next, Next, and Finish to create a new page with the time series data. We now have two pages. By default, EViews has named the new page on title. We can rename it to time series. Remember that you cannot use space in EViews. You can only use underscore in place of space or any other character that is not recognized by the EViews. We now have two pages of EViews: time series with data that contains timestamps and course section with data that does not have the timestamp. We can toggle between these pages by clicking on either of them. We can click on time series page to switch to time series data page, or course section to go back to our course section data. Another possibility is to import another variable, for example var4, into an existing work file page. Let's for example update our data file, the time series sheet, to var4. We now have additional variable that we want to include in our existing work file. We only copy this column, Ctrl Shift down arrow to highlight the entire data in the fifth column, Ctrl C to copy. We then go back to our EViews window, right click on the work file, paste, or Ctrl V. We write the start date, which is 20 and 10, to align with the date on the work file page. Click on Finish. Now var4 has been imported into the time series page as a new variable. We can delete it and import it the other way using the menu bar. Delete, yes. Go to File, Import, Import from File, Data, Open. We now select the custom range. var4 starts from the fifth column, therefore column E. We change this letter A to E. We can see that only var4 is available on this window. We click Next, Next, and Finish. As we did before, we enter the start date, which is 2010, and click Finish. var4 has been imported just the way we use copy and paste to import it. We can also check the capture window to see how we can import using the command. We can copy this line, Ctrl C to copy, paste on the command line, press Enter key, click Finish to import. Because var4 already exists in the work file, this window has popped up, giving us about 4 options to choose from. That is, we can overwrite, we can delete var4 and replace it with a new imported object, or we can merge the two, or rename the existing var4 series, or we can cancel the process entirely. Let's override the existing object. This is all we have about importing time series and cross-sectional data into the EViews workspace. In our next video, we will show you how to import panel data into the EViews workspace with ease. Thank you for your time and thank you for watching. See you in our next video. We welcome any comments that can improve the services of Smarty Academy. Remember that together we can do anything. If you enjoyed this video and want more videos like this, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn the notification on